अस्सलाम वालेकुम। प्रोग्राम एम्बेसी रोड में खुश आमदीद। नाज़रीन, आज हमारे इस प्रोग्राम में हमारे मेहमान हैं पाकिस्तान में अर्जेंटाइन के सफ़ीर जनाब एवान सोविच। हम उनसे बात करेंगे पाकिस्तान और अर्जेंटाइन के ताल्लुकात के हवाले से। उन्हें यहाँ आए हुए 6 माह गुजर चुके हैं। वो पाकिस्तान को काफ़ी हद तक समझ चुके हैं और यहाँ पे वो अर्जेंटाइन और पाकिस्तान के बाहमी ताल्लुकात को फ़रोग़ देने के लिए शबाना रोज़ मेहनत कर रहे हैं। उनसे उनकी कोशिशों के हवाले से और पाकिस्तान और अर्जेंटाइन के बाहमी ताल्लुकात के हवाले से गुफ्तगू होगी। हम उनसे और भी कई सवालात करेंगे। Ambassador, thank you very much for joining us in this program.
Well, thank you very much for coming to our embassy and taking an interest in the activities we do at the embassy, and particularly on this anniversary of the 65th year of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Pakistan and Argentina.
Exactly. Ambassador, you have been here for almost 6 months in Pakistan.
Yes.
What is your take on Pakistan, the people, the country, and the culture? Would you like to say something?
I was here between 2004 and 2007.
I see.
I lived 3.5 years here, very happy years, and I traveled a lot in Pakistan. I visited many, many places, climbed many mountains. And
In the north?
In the north and Kagan Valley as well.
Okay.
And but I've been to Bawalpur, to Fort Darawa, to
In the deserts also?
Khyber Pass, Cholistan, you know.
You have seen the entire country.
So I've been to Chitral, Chandur, which is a fantastic experience. I love this country and I love the people. There seems to be a very difficult to explain understanding between Pakistanis and Argentines from the very beginning of our relations. It's difficult to explain why, because we are so distant and the culture is very different. But somehow there is something untouchable that brings us together.
You could feel it.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm very happy to be back here.
Thank you, Ambassador. Pakistan and Argentine have established relations, diplomatic relations, 65 years back.
Yes.
So in these 65 years, do you think that the countries have become very close to each other and they've built very strong relations in the field of commerce, trade and other fields?
We have, the area in which we have the closest relationship is in our positions in international organizations. Concerning peace, conflicts, we both take part of peacekeeping forces of the UN. We have common positions in the UN also on development, on climate change negotiations, on the Sustainable Development Agenda, on trade in the WTO.
Yes.
So this is the strongest, and many people feel that this is a bit distant. But you have to bear in mind that what is decided in those places eventually will touch you.
Yes.
Will touch you either by securing or not peace, or in your pocket, you know, because the rules of trade are set there.
Exactly.
Right? And so if you have, if your position is eroded, is diminished, then the pockets of all Pakistanis and all Argentines will reflect that. So it's very important for us to stick to these positions together. As to trade, it has grown quite a lot since I was here, almost 10 times. And in the field of, we have political consultations, we have a joint Economic and Trade Commission that meet every so many years. We have had, in the cultural field, we have had quite a lot of exchanges. And we had quite a few mountaineers from Argentina coming over to Pakistan
Yes.
to climb
Tall
8,000
mountains. Yes.
and here, and also Pakistani mountaineers who have been to Argentina to climb our Mount Aconcagua,
Yeah.
which is 7,000 meters high.
Yes.
It's the tallest mountain in the Americas, and or the highest. So, you know, the relations are really in a very good footing. We hope to be able to deepen them further with cooperation in different fields. Particularly, I'm interested in cooperation in the agricultural sector. I think Pakistan could do with some better use of the soil you've got, more efficient use, and we have, of course, a very advanced agricultural sector.
Technology as well.
Yes.
And seeds and all the inputs.
Not only the seeds, it's the way you work the soil.
Okay.
You know, I think in seeds, you have a fantastic place here in NARC. The germplasm center
Yes.
is world class. So you don't have a problem with the seeds.
Okay.
You have a problem with the way people work the land.
Right.
Yes.
Ambassador, I've heard your remarks somewhere that geographically we are far apart, Pakistan and Argentina. But in today's world, the entire world has become a global village. So I think distances don't matter. It is the will of the countries and the people to get together, to join hands, and to cooperate.
That is true to some extent. Internet has brought the world together, but if you have to fly like 25 hours, and that's the shortest route.
It's very distant. Yes, yes.
To visit each other,
yes.
It's different than if you have to fly 8 or 9.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. That's one aspect.
Yes. So this is a reality. The second reality is that although people living in big cities and people who are a bit better off can travel, most of the people cannot afford it. And so we must rely on other things. And this is the mystery of things, that people, you know, in my travels in Pakistan, I've met people in small cities, and they knew about Argentina, you know, and they...
there are many important features about Argentina, like football.
Yes.
Sports.
Yes, in sports. Yes. Sports bring people together. If you, in Argentina, for instance, there are not many squash players. But all of those who play squash know who Jahangir Khan is.
Yes.
You know.
And hockey as well.
And hockey as well, yes. And your glorious team of the 80s and 90s,
exactly.
yes.
I think, yes, these sports can bring the two countries together.
Yes.
And Argentina is very well known for the sports, particularly soccer, football, hockey, and these games.
Yes.
Ambassador, the other question that comes to my mind is that since you have lived in Pakistan before and now you are the ambassador, you must have some agenda in your mind to enhance and expand relationship between the two countries. Could you share that with us, with our
yes,
viewers?
I mean, definitely. Because I noticed this sympathetic view of Pakistanis towards Argentina and Argentines towards Pakistan, I will try to deepen this by through a lot of cultural activities. So we are organizing musical events.
I think next week, maybe?
Well, next week we start one of the on 24th of October, Monday, we're holding a Pakistani classical music concert at the Marriott Hotel.
Right.
And it will be co-sponsored by Marriott and Mausikar, an association that promotes
I know.
And I think, and us, of course, because I'm a great lover of Pakistani classical music.
Oh.
And I have quite a few recordings.
I see.
Qawwalis and more intimate poetry of Sultan Bahu and Bulleh Shah, sung by Iqbal Bahu.
This is Sufism. This is
Sufism,
mysticism.
and then ghazal songs by the great lady Iqbal Banu.
Iqbal Banu.
Yes.
So you know a lot About Pakistani music. It's very good.
So, and other singers, of course. And Patani Khan is a great singer. Patani Khan is a great singer. He used to be a great singer, yes.
He's no longer...
I know, he's no longer around.
He's no longer, but yes, he was so well known.
Yes.
And from south of Pakistan.
Yes.
But his voice was very melodious, and he used to mesmerize his listeners. Yes.
And so we're going to do this on Monday, and then on Friday next week we're going to open an exhibition by an Argentine artist who will be coming over, paintings. That will be at the Serena, and then in November I plan to bring a Argentine tango guitarist.
Oh.
And I hope to have him perform with a trio of young Pakistani musicians doing fusion, a bit more for younger audiences.
So actually, Master, you are using art and culture to bring these two countries together,
exactly.
the people of the two countries together.
I think it's a way of bringing people together, but it's also a way of strengthening our political relations. I think culture helps to strengthen political relations, because culture, and I wish Pakistan could do something similar in Argentina, because there is a great interest in South Asian music.
Yes.
And there was a very well-known Argentine Kathak dancer many years ago. When I was young, I saw her dancing.
I see.
Right?
It's a classical dance.
Classical dance
of South Asia. Yes, very, very well known. Yes.
It would be nice to have your musicians. You have very capable musicians, and they would make a hit in Buenos Aires, definitely.
So are you planning an event of Pakistani musicians in Argentine, or our Pakistani embassy there is...
It should be the Pakistani. In the way I bring Argentines here, and even we sponsor Pakistani musicians here, but we cannot, sponsor our Pakistani musicians going to... We can help in Argentina, but it should be something that the government of Pakistan should do. Maybe coordinating a tour in Brazil, Argentina, and another Chile, for instance. That would make it worthwhile, because the distance is long, the expense is great. But I think this has a political value as well. And then the other areas are agriculture, as I said, cooperation, and also science. I have to explore that a little bit more. And education also could be a field. But my main focus at the moment is culture and agriculture.
Master, we'll talk about other fields, cooperation in agriculture, science and education, but we have to take a short break and then we'll come back. नाज़रीन एक मुख्तसर सी ब्रेक लेते हैं. ब्रेक से वापसी के बाद हम पाकिस्तान में अर्जेंटाइन के सफ़ीर से गुफ्तगू जारी रखेंगे. उनका कहना है कि म्यूज़िक यानी मौसीकी और कल्चर लोगों को बहुत करीब ला सकता है, कौमों को एक दूसरे के बहुत करीब ला सकता है. लेकिन दूसरे शोबे भी हैं जिनमें ज़राअत है। ये पाकिस्तान में अर्जेंटाइन के सफ़ीर से यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कोऑपरेशन इन द फील्ड ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर is producing a lot of wheat and rice and cotton and fruit,
Yes.
including mangoes, which are very popular.
Yes.
So what could, actually in concrete terms, what could Argentine do to boost this product in
I
Pakistan?
think you have some producers who are fairly developed in the horticultural section and fruit production. I don't think we could add much to what you've done in that field. But my feeling is that the production of wheat and maize is not as efficient as it should be. And wheat is the costs are very high for production of wheat in Pakistan. And
Yes.
and
Right.
this is one problem. So, and this is basically because from what I've seen in my travels, is people who work the land, they don't do it efficiently. And even with the implements they have, they could do better. You know, there is irregularity in the sowing of seeds, just to name something. And then you have a huge problem of harvest loss. After harvesting, you don't have storage facilities, and
That's
you lose
right.
a lot in transport as well. And those areas have to be addressed, because I think it's, and maybe I'm wrong, but you're close to 40% of loss of harvest.
I see.
That's a lot, you know.
You have mentioned the implements, agriculture implements, and you have also very correctly pointed out that the cost of production is very high. So what could be done to reduce this cost of production? Because currently the farmers in Punjab, they are protesting it, and they are saying that they are investing a lot of money in producing wheat and potatoes and other agricultural produce, but they are not getting enough in return.
Yes, well, I'm not a technician. Through my wife, who's a farmer, I know a bit of farming, but I'm not an expert.
Okay.
What I said is that you have to produce, if you produce more per acre, you will have a greater yield.
Yeah.
And you will have more money.
Obviously,
You know?
it's quite logical.
So the cost will
go down.
Will go down. I mean, you get more money, the cost is, let's say, 50, but instead of getting 48 or 52, you get 70 or 80. And then the costs are not so important, you know. So that's a way of putting it graphically.
One of the inputs actually that enhances and raises the cost of production is the high rates, high tariffs of electricity in Pakistan. The others are also seeds and other inputs. So one of the problems is that these important inputs are very expensive for the farmers, and the government is giving subsidies in some sectors, but they're not enough. And that's one reason that the cost of production is going up, and probably the market is not available to purchase these products at that price level.
That could be the case, but there is also, I feel there are many small producers here.
Yes.
Right? And the way I've seen them work is not very efficient. And in countries that have small producers like you do have, very often in order to improve their efficiency, the small producers get together and create cooperatives.
Cooperatives, yes.
So they have economies of scale. With one tractor, they can work the land of all the members of the cooperative. with one harvester, they can harvest all the land, and they don't need to go harvesting by hand. You know, this is the kind. Now, this needs a lot of education, because people usually when they are not used to this kind of work, they don't trust the neighbor.
Yes.
So you have to educate people into trusting the neighbor and develop trust and not fail that trust, because if you break the trust,
Yeah.
it's the end of it.
Exactly. Ambassador, we have two organizations, Pakistan Agriculture Research Council and National Agriculture Research Center, NARC. And many Pakistani scientists who are working in these organizations, they were trained abroad, like US, Canada, Australia, and other countries. And they have modern knowledge of how to improve the production in the field of agriculture. They have introduced some new varieties of seeds, for instance, in the field of wheat, rice, etc. But as you have correctly mentioned, that we can do more, we can produce more, but we are not doing it. So do you think that it's the failure of these organizations who are not working hard to introduce new varieties to Pakistan?
I visited NARC one day with my wife, and we spent 6.5 hours in NARC.
So, or recently?
Yes, when I arrived.
Okay.
The first thing I did.
Okay.
And we had a look at all the different plots and all the work NARC is doing. The scientists there are first class. As I said, the germplasm center is world class. The horticultural experimental units are first class. What they're doing also with regard to some fruits, and you know, I've seen things I haven't seen in Argentina, you know. But they have a problem with the extensive agriculture. And I was told that this is because it's very difficult to, you know, NARC has a limited financial capability.
The resources are limited.
Yes. So they have to concentrate on those areas in which the producers are willing to take up the innovations. And the problem with small producers is that they are more reluctant to take innovations.
Exactly.
So for NARC, they have to prioritize what they do, right? And obviously, given the fact that it is so difficult to share and incorporate innovations that NARC may develop in the field of working the land, then they have to focus on other things. But we had a very close look at NARC, and I admire the work they are doing there. Yes, it's first class. And I would like to see if we can have some cooperation between NARC and PARC, the Pakistan Council of Agricultural
Research Council. Yes.
And our Argentine National Institute for Agricultural Research.
Okay.
Yes. Technology, sorry.
Right. Ambassador, the other issue in Pakistan which has been under discussion for quite some time is the efficient use of water management. I've seen reports by World Bank, Asian Development Bank, other organizations which are very critical of inefficient use of water. A lot of water is wasted while sowing the seeds, and also other agriculture activity. The water is required, it's a fundamental requirement, but these organizations think, and the experts think, that Pakistan is not efficiently using the water, it is wasting it.
We have irrigation in Argentina, but not as extended as Pakistan.
Yes.
It's limited to a few provinces. In general, we rely on rain.
Okay.
Or we have support of irrigation in areas which are, peripheral, where the rain is sometimes is missing. So you complement the rain with irrigation, but by spraying.
Okay.
You know, spraying the fields. But then you need very little water. You need only, for instance, watering 2-3 times during a week, and hopefully then the rain will come. Or maybe it's 2 weeks and then you water it. But we don't base our wheat production on irrigation, for instance.
Okay.
Right? Or cotton production on irrigation. So our know-how on irrigation is limited to some provinces which produce fruits and grapes and wine. I'm not so familiar with that. We in our farm produce with rain. But I know that
rain-fed areas.
Yes, but I know that water is crucial.
Yes.
And for instance, on our farm, we try to make the rain last as long as possible. So we make sure that the soil is covered with debris of former harvest. So when the rain falls, it goes into the earth, and when the sun comes out, the sun doesn't hit the earth.
Yeah.
The earth is protected.
Right.
So there is very little evaporation.
So,
evaporation is crucial because if you have a lot of evaporation, and I think in the south of Punjab I've seen fields which were inundated, right, with water,
yes.
and that evaporates. A lot of water is lost there.
Yeah.
You know.
So efficient use of water in agriculture is one problem.
Yes.
The other issues, for instance, quite important, I think you have extensive knowledge in agriculture field. Have you ever thought of introducing some fruit, some varieties of fruit which is produced in Argentina, or some other agriculture products which could be brought to Pakistan, could be introduced here, and they can, the farmers in this country can use them, can benefit from them?
In general, the climate in Pakistan is different from Argentina,
Okay.
with the exception of a few small regions of Argentina. We have a more temperate climate, a more benign, I would say. Benign in the right sense, that it is more, let's say, forgiving, right?
Not very hostile.
Yeah, you have a very difficult climate. So the fruits we produce are usually Europeans, you know, Northern Hemisphere fruits. One thing which is being introduced here already, and I think has a future, is olives.
Olive, yes.
Yes. Olives has a great future.
Exactly.
We are a large producer of olive oil and olives. And I think Pakistan would benefit from that. But you have already introduced, and Park is doing a very good job in that area with olive trees. Okay. We don't have many native fruits, you know, like you have. We don't have really very few, because most of the country was savanna. You see, apples. There were some apples, and in the south of Patagonia, but apples. Yeah, we have fantastic quetta apples. I've tried your quetta apples.
We produce a lot of apple here.
We wish we could produce the tasty fruit you produce.
Thank you, Master. We'll take another short break and we'll come back. नाज़रीन एक और मुख्तसर ब्रेक लेते हैं. ब्रेक से वापसी के बाद हम पाकिस्तान में अर्जेंटाइन के सफ़ीर से पूछेंगे कि साइंस और तालीम के शोबों में पाकिस्तान और अर्जेंटाइन के सफ़ीर से. You mentioned cooperation in the field of science.
Well, there I have to focus a bit more. I think there is a field where we could work further. I may have some news before long, but I cannot
divulge, reveal at this stage.
But I'm sure the media will know in a few, in a week or 10 days' time, you know, that something is moving on. But there are also other areas where we could work further, in academic areas as well. I plan to do my own personal contribution. When I was here in 2004, 2006 it was, I gave a seminar at Quaid-i-Azam University, 6 months long, on history and culture to postgraduate students of international relations. I cannot afford now as an ambassador to engage myself twice a week
and go and
at
lecture.
a university.
Yes.
But I will give talks to students. I'm more willing. I mean, I was an academic before being a diplomat.
Yeah.
I love teaching, and I think sharing knowledge and experience with young people is crucial. And I will do my best to share whatever I learned during my life with young people in Islamabad, and I hope to be able to create some links with between lecturers in Argentina.
Academic institutions. Yes. Ambassador, in today's world, the countries strengthen their bilateral relations through economic cooperation, through enhancing trade. And as the saying is that the name of the game is economy in this day and age. So what's being done between Pakistan and Argentina to enhance trade and to basically expand cooperation in economy?
Well, as I said, we have a joint trade and economic commission.
Yes.
But I must tell you, all the sports goods in Argentina, football, basket, rugby, hockey sticks.
They are imported from Pakistan?
They're imported from Pakistan.
Great.
I think most, if not all, of the surgical instruments are imported from Pakistan.
Yes, Pakistan is well known for its production of surgical instruments.
Yes. Some textiles are important from Pakistan as well. You know, so I hope we could import mangoes. We import mangoes from other countries, but there is nothing like Pakistani mangoes.
Yes, no match.
And the same I could say of basmati rice. But there, I think the mangoes would make a hit immediately in Argentina. But the basmati rice, people don't know it in Argentina. We're used to eating any rice. You know, we Argentines have no taste for rice. So we're happy with anything. Yes. We produce our own rice as well, and it doesn't compare. We export mostly agricultural products, feed for cattle, grains, soya beans, which are not produced in Pakistan widely. You have very limited regions where you could produce soya. We export soya bean oil, sunflower pellets for cattle feed, different forms of feed for cattle. That's our main export, really. And
you mentioned Pakistan's textile. Pakistan is well known for its textile products, and its main earning is from exports, textile exports. What are the probability or possibility of Pakistani textile producers to go to Argentina and set up their mills or factories there and produce textile products and export them in the South American market? Is it
this
viable?
Is a very technical question.
No.
I don't know what the situation is in the way of investments, and it would be great, but the one thing I can say is that we have a textile industry, but it's not a very strong one. Why this is so, I don't know. So maybe it's a competition of Asian textile producers. I don't know. We have compared to Pakistan, we have an expensive workforce.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So that may be one reason.
Yeah, I think the cost of production is very important.
Would be higher. So
Yeah.
I don't know, you know. But again, I'm not an expert in these things. So maybe Pakistani textile businesses can explore that. But you know.
So you mentioned the sports goods which Argentina is importing from Pakistan.
Yes.
So what are the prospects of Pakistani sports goods producers going to Argentina and setting up their factories there and produce sports goods and maybe exporting to the neighboring countries?
I think they export to all neighboring countries already. I think the combination of efficiency and costs in Pakistan for sports goods is unbeatable.
Okay.
You know, maybe the Chinese may be able to
Yes.
compete with you, but I remember some years ago the Chinese tried to get into the Argentine market, but without wanting to be sort of a bit nasty, I would say that the Argentine public considered the Pakistani products better.
Okay.
So at the beginning they would buy some Chinese products, but now they're buying again the Pakistani products.
Right.
Except for very, you know, non-professional use of these sports goods. So,
At the political level, how would you rate the relations between Pakistan and Argentina? Political consultation is something regular, or
it's regular, and if when they don't happen in either in Argentina or Pakistan, we keep our delegations to the UN remain always close
okay.
to one another. So we exchange views, positions. We cooperate very much so, and also in the WTO in Geneva. And in the climate change negotiations, we also coordinated our positions very closely. So it's we have meetings also between my embassy and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the same the Pakistani embassy and our Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Buenos Aires. So I think we keep very close overview of how
Yes.
we make our moves.
And the last question about the Argentine park in Islamabad.
Yes.
I saw you laying flowers in that park, I think a couple of days back. So this park is okay, you are satisfied the way it is being maintained and kept, or you want it to be improved?
I tell you something, when I came here, I went with my wife, she's a landscapist, to the Argentina park, and even if it didn't have all the flower beds that the new mayor set up, and he restored the monument, but even then I found it better than it was in 2006 or 7.
Okay.
It was better kept.
But you must have some ideas to improve
So
it.
this was a good, you know, we said, I expected to find something that was completely derelict, and it wasn't. It had some parts which were not so well kept, and there was some rubbish in some corners, but it wasn't in the bad state it was many years ago. And when I must say I left it to my deputy, who did a fantastic job in coordinating with CDA
Yes.
the embellishing of the park. But when I went yesterday, it was such a beautiful surprise. You know, the monument all restored with brass letters, and the flower beds full, all covered. The trees which were dead were removed. Some repairs had been done. The park was clean. And I could only praise the mayor for what he did in such a short time because, and he told me that he took a personal interest. He visited the park twice to make sure that the works were progressing. And he told me that he had designated a team to permanently have a look of the park, and that his plan was to refurbish other parks in Islamabad.
Right.
And keep teams, fixed teams. That was a problem. Before, there was there was no fixed team per park. And I'm sure the mayor feels a commitment towards maintaining
the parks well.
And I want the park to be used. And some people told me, well, there were people sleeping on the benches. I don't mind. If during the day somebody wants to have a nap on a bench, why should I mind?
Yeah.
You know, the park is there to be used, not to be seen at a distance and you know.
Exactly.
And if children want to play in the park, welcome, you know.
Yeah. It's I think a great symbol of Pakistan-Argentina relationship, and I think it is the duty of the civic bodies to keep it well, to maintain it well.
Yeah, we will try to make use of the parks in the future with small events, you know, as long as we are allowed to do so by not only by the CDA but also by the security.
Yes.
We will do that. You know, the park is there to be used.
Thank you, Ambassador. नाज़रीन, आज के इस प्रोग्राम में आपने पाकिस्तान में अर्जेंटाइन के सफ़ीर से गुफ्तगू सुनी, पाकिस्तान और अर्जेंटाइन के दरमियान ताल्लुकात को किस तरह बेहतर बनाया जा सकता है। उनके जहन में ये रोड मैप है कि कल्चर से, म्यूज़िक से, मौसीकी से और पेंटिंग से और दूसरी ज़राए से पाकिस्तान और अर्जेंटाइन के ताल्लुकात को बेहतर बनाया जा सकता है। उनके जहन में ये भी है कि पाकिस्तान और अर्जेंटाइन के दरमियान ज़राअत के शोबे में ताउन हो सकता है, और उन्होंने बहुत से आइडियाज़ आज हमारे नाज़रीन के साथ शेयर किए हैं। पाकिस्तान और अर्जेंटाइन के दरमियान तजारत और मईशत के शोबों में भी ताउन को बढ़ाया जा सकता है, इस पे भी उन्होंने बात की है। इसी के साथ ये प्रोग्राम ख़त्म होता है। जावेद सिद्दीक़ को इजाज़त दीजिए। खुदा हाफिज़। Thank you, Ambassador. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much.